Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the new comedy special by Gary Owen titled Doing What I Do. But before I begin, don't forget to show some love and hit that like button and that subscribe button as well. So this will be my first review on a comedy special, so I may miss a few things. At the end of the video, if there's anything you want me to review more on or something that I missed out completely that you want me to review, let me know in the comment section below and I might do another separate video. So Gary Owen went to the Breakfast Club recently and the crew over there asked him some questions about his comedy special, and pretty much Gary Owen said that this was going to be the best comedy special or the greatest of all time. I said this in a previous video, but I don't think that he really thinks this is going to be the greatest of all time. But I think that he may think that it's the greatest of all time for him, his best work. So I watched the comedy special and I did like it. But there are also some things that I didn't like about it as well. And I'm going to explain all of that. So when watching the comedy special, I noticed it was over an hour long, and there was no skits at the beginning or skits at the end. It was just pretty much Gary Owen all the way through for the most part, and I thought that was very, very impressive for him to just do a straight hour-long comedy special and not have any skits in between or in the beginning or the end. And he kept the comedy special interesting through the entire hour. I've watched comedy specials where there will be a lot of dry moments to where I'm just not that interested. Even if there were times where I was just cracking up laughing, there's been very dull moments to where I thought about just turning it off. And Gary Owen didn't do that with this special. He kept it interesting from start to finish, and that was one of the biggest positives I got out of that comedy special. But I will say that there wasn't a joke to where I laughed so hard I had to stop the video, but he did have a lot of laugh out moments for me. I liked about a lot of the topics that he talked about. He talked about his family a lot, which I always appreciate when a comedy gives you some insight on their family, even if it's not 100% true. He talked about Kevin Hart a little bit. He talked about some jobs that he used to work at. He talked about getting older. He even talked about the Bow Wow challenge. He just talked about a lot of different things. So the stuff that I did like about are the things that I just spoke about, but I'm going to get a little bit more in depth. When talking about his family, those are probably my favorite moments. How he talked about he's the only white person in his family, and how his family could use the N-word and he can't. Like, that was kind of funny to me. And when he was explaining it, he was also pretty much saying that he might have said this in a different bit, but saying that he knows what white people should say and what white people shouldn't say and things like that. I'm not going to really get into my beliefs in that, but those are the kind of risky topics that he's not afraid to talk about. And when comedians do that, talk about uncomfortable situations, like that's the best form of comedy for me when it comes to stand-up. Like, that's why I love Dave Chappelle. He recently released a comedy special that ruffles some feathers. And with this video of Gary Owen, he didn't really, I don't think he said a whole lot that ruffled feathers, but he touched a little on certain topics that some people may not necessarily like. which I wouldn't be surprised if one of his jokes trend on Twitter and stuff like that. But he even talked about Black Twitter, and that was funny as well, on how he had to defend himself. Or he didn't even defend himself. He was just reading stuff going, oh, snap. Like, just pretty much his not rebuttal, but things that people would say. And it was funny how he responded to that, just by going, oh, damn. And he really kept it interesting. One of the bits, he talked about Kevin Hart a little bit, about his scandal, and about how his wife came up to him and said he heard about Kevin. And that was a laugh out moment for me as well. And he also talked about getting older, about how he would go into the club, and if he didn't have a section blocked off for him, that people would say that he's not balling or something like that. And that was hilarious. But he talking about getting older. I think he's like in his 40s. I'm in my late 20s, so I probably can't relate as much as someone in his age group would. But there are things that I don't do as much when I did in my early 20s, my teens, that I don't do. Sorry, guys. There are things in my early 20s I don't do as much now as I did back then. So I was able to relate a little bit to it, and that's what made it more funny for me. One thing that I was able to relate to is how he talked about how he made $24,000 in a year, and he talked about, he went to his mother and said, yeah, I'm going to pay all of your bills. That was a laugh out moment for me. I just remember as a kid being 16 years old, getting my first job. I didn't go to my mom and tell her I was going to pay all her bills, but I remember going to her and I was like, I could pay this bill, I could pay that bill, and still have some money for myself. And I didn't make a lot back then, being 16 years old, making minimum wage, and you can only work, back then I could only work like 16, 20 hours a week. I don't even remember because I was still in school. But that was really entertaining to me as well. And he just kept me hooked from start to finish. I know I said that earlier, but that was just very impressive. Because there are a lot of times where I just lose interest at certain points in comedy shows. And I didn't lose any interest. But some of the negative things from it, in my opinion, in the beginning of the comedy special, he was just saying too much too fast. Like, it was kind of like rapid fire, just one joke after another, after another, after another, after another, and not really letting the jokes settle in. I've seen a video, or not a video, I recently watched some of Mike Epps' new special. I can't remember what the name of it was off the top of my head. Excuse me. But I only watched about 15 minutes of it, and I did turn it off because it was just, he was just saying way too much, way too fast, and it didn't feel like any of it had a story. And I felt like Gary Owen was on that trend in the beginning, a little bit, not as much, but he definitely got better towards the middle and the end because he would start elaborating on things. And Mike Epps, I like him. He's a really good actor. I've seen some comedy specials for him before, but that I did enjoy. But it was just how his delivery was just way too fast for me to really enjoy. And Gary Owen in the beginning of the special, that's what it kind of felt like, but he still kept entertaining to me, and he was still able to he was able to make it so I can visualize what he was talking about. And that's what kept me interested and kept wanting me to still still watch the video or the special. And another thing that I probably didn't like so much was there were times where excuse me, guys. There were times where he didn't explain on certain topics as long as I would, I guess, like for a comedy or a comic to do. Like Dave Chappelle, for instance, will have a lot of dramatic pauses and really explain a story. And I felt like Gary Owen could have done that a little bit more. Not that what he did wasn't good, because like I said before, the comedy special got a lot better towards the middle and the end, where he would elaborate on some things. But I felt like he could have done it even more, especially in the beginning. But overall, I really did and like that special. It's something I would watch again. If one of my friends came over and said, "Hey, you want to watch this?" I would watch it. I probably would watch it on my own again sometime if I need a good laugh. But overall, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. If there were a couple moments to where I laughed so hard I had to stop the video, it would have been rated higher. But it wasn't that kind of comedy special for me. And also, now thinking about it as I'm talking to you guys, if the special was more like 40 minutes, I may have liked it even more if he cut out some of the jokes and elaborated on certain jokes as well, like how he talked about his family. Like maybe if he elaborated on that more, or talked a little bit more about Kevin Hart. Those are the best moments for me. If he did talk about Kevin Hart a little bit, even talked about how he got on the Ride Along movie. But I think he said he knew Kevin Hart for years. Like, it would have been great to hear a little bit more stories about that. It probably would have been a little bit better. But that's just my opinion on it. Oh, and one negative from it that I just remembered. Some of the jokes that he talked about, I've heard them before. I think I've heard a couple of the jokes on the Breakfast Club interview. Not his recent one. A couple ones before, or other interviews I've seen. So he reused some jokes, and I noticed that. But even though he did reuse some of those jokes, he still made it funny. I think that he added a little twist to it, maybe changed a couple words, or maybe just his delivery still made it funny. But I did notice he reused a couple jokes. And yeah, I think one of them was the Bow Wow Challenge jokes. I just remember hearing that before. But overall, it was an entertaining comedy special. If he was to release another comedy special, I would watch it. And actually, based on this one, I am interested to see his previous work as well. So I may watch his other videos, his other specials. And if you guys want me to do a review on that, let me know, and I just might. But let me know in the comment section below how you felt about his comedy special. Were there moments to where you guys had to stop the video and just like let your laughs out? Did you enjoy it yourself, or did you have a similar opinion to my own? Just let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to show some love by hitting that like button and that subscribe button. And have a wonderful day.